All right, let's break this down. We're talking about something big that just happened in Katsina State, Nigeria. The government there has decided to release 70 people from jail. But these aren't just any people. These are men suspected of being bandits, the very same bandits who have been terrorizing communities, kidnapping people from their homes and farms, killing innocent folks, and causing so much fear and pain. The government says they are doing this as part of a peace agreement. They say they are talking with armed groups, and to get these groups to release the innocent people they've kidnapped, the government must also release these 70 suspects.
Think of it like a trade. The Commissioner for Security, a man named Mr. Naser Mu'azu, explained it. He said this action will help consolidate or strengthen peace talks that are already happening across 15 local government areas. He even said these talks have already helped free about 1,000 kidnapped victims. He compared it to something that happens in a war when two sides swap their prisoners. A letter from the government was leaked, asking the courts to let these 70 men go free because of peace commitments. Now, right here, I need you to think about that. Does swapping prisoners sound like something you do with criminals or with soldiers from an enemy army? Hit that like button if you think this is a serious issue we all need to understand, and subscribe to follow this story with me.
The public reaction has been pure fire. People are angry, confused, and scared. Many Nigerians are asking one loud question. How can you just release people accused of such terrible crimes? What happens to justice? What message does this send? If a man is suspected of kidnapping your child, and then the government lets him walk free to convince his friends to give your child back, does that feel like justice to you? The commissioner says the process is lawful and that anyone who is upset can go to court. But let me ask you a critical question right now. Do you honestly believe a poor farmer whose wife was killed by bandits has the money, the time, or the strength to take the government to court? Share your honest answer in the comments below.
Let's be clear. Showing mercy is a beautiful thing. Forgiving someone who is truly sorry is a powerful act. But there is a massive, ocean-sized difference between showing mercy and being foolish, between giving grace and surrendering to evil. We must understand the gravity, the seriousness of what we are discussing. This is not about petty theft. This is about terrorism. These bandits operate like terrorists. They use fear and violence to control people and get money. Their actions are not small crimes. They are crimes that shatter entire families and communities.
So my first and biggest argument is this. What is the real reason behind this release? What is the legal framework? Is there a law that says if you kidnap 100 people, we will let 10 of your friends go free to make peace? No, there isn't. This seems to be a deal made in secret, not justice done in the open. It is government officials negotiating with criminals over a table, while the victims of those criminals have no seat at that table. Their pain is just a bargaining chip. And speaking of victims, let's talk about them, because nobody else seems to be. This is the part that makes my blood boil. If you agree that the victims are being forgotten, type "Remember the victims" in the comment section.
Think about the victims. Imagine you are a mother. Bandits attacked your village, shot your husband, and took your teenage son. You haven't seen him in a year. You don't know if he is alive. You cry every single day. Then you hear the government is releasing the very kind of men who did this to you as part of a deal. What does that tell you? It tells you that your son's suffering, your husband's death, your endless tears, they are just items to be traded. It tells you that the government values a peaceful deal more than it values justice for you. That is a heartbreaking, devastating message. It makes people feel abandoned by the very authorities who are supposed to protect them. Think about the victims. Imagine you are a mother. Bandits attacked your village, shot your husband, and took your teenage son. You haven't seen him in a year. You don't know if he is alive. You cry every single day. Then you hear the government is releasing the very kind of men who did this to you as part of a deal. What does that tell you? It tells you that your son's suffering, your husband's death, your endless tears, they are just items to be traded. It tells you that the government values a peaceful deal more than it values justice for you. That is a heartbreaking, devastating message. It makes people feel abandoned by the very authorities who are supposed to protect them.
Now, let's think about safety. What is the guarantee, the sure promise, that these 70 men will not return to banditry? Have they been through a de-radicalization program? Has anyone sat with them for months, changing their minds, teaching them that violence is wrong, and training them in a peaceful trade like carpentry or farming? From what we know, no. There has been no such program mentioned. These suspects were in prison, and now they will be released back into the same communities they terrorized. Put yourself in that community. You are going to the market, and you see a man you know was arrested for banditry. He is walking free, maybe even smiling at you. Would your heart not jump into your throat? Would you feel safe letting your children play outside? This decision doesn't bring peace of mind. It brings a new kind of fear. It tells criminals there are no lasting consequences. It tells a young jobless man, see, even if you get caught, you might be released in a big government deal. Where is the deterrent? Where is the lesson that crime does not pay? We have to hold our leaders to a higher standard. If you believe government action should be transparent and for the people, not secret deals, show your support by subscribing to this channel. We break down these complex issues so everyone can understand. Some people try to defend this move by pointing to history. They say, well, it worked in the Niger Delta. Years ago, the government had an amnesty program for militants in the Niger Delta region. Those militants were also violent, but they were fighting in part because foreign oil companies were destroying their environment. Their fishing waters and farmlands were polluted. The government offered them a deal. Lay down your weapons and we will train you, educate you, and help you find jobs. It was a long, slow, and very public process. The world watched it. Many of those former militants are now working, even protecting the pipelines they once attacked.
But this situation in Katsina is not the same. What is the cause of these bandits? Are they fighting for a cleaner environment, for better schools? No. By all accounts, they are fighting for money through robbery, kidnapping for ransom, and murder. It is pure criminality. And there is no program here. There is no public plan for training or rehabilitation. It is just a simple, shocking release. Comparing the two is like comparing a carefully built house to a house of cards. One has a strong foundation. The other will collapse at the slightest breeze.
This leads me to my next big fear: corruption and hidden motives. How do we, the public, know who these 70 men are? Are any of them connected to powerful people? Could this be a way for a politician or a wealthy person to get a relative or an ally out of jail? When things are done in secret, with leaked letters instead of open debates, it creates a dark space where corrupt deals can grow. It makes you wonder, who is truly benefiting from this peace? The people or a few powerful individuals? If you are in government and you help a terrorist go free for your own gain, then you are also part of the terror. Let's pause for another critical question. Many say these bandits are just poor, unemployed youths driven to crime. Others say they are well-funded criminals. What do you think is the root cause? Poverty or greed? Debate this in the comments. I want to read your perspectives. There's a bigger national danger here too. Nigeria is fighting a war against terrorism and banditry with help from other countries. What do we look like to the world when we release suspected terrorists? It makes us look weak. It makes us look like we are not serious about fighting this evil. Other nations helping us might start to pull back, thinking, why should we help them fight if they are just going to let the fighters go? It damages our country's reputation and its real security. So what is the right way? I am not saying peace talks are bad. I am not saying that sometimes difficult deals don't have to be made, but they must be built on a foundation of justice and transparency. First, any peace process must start with the victims. They must be identified, their losses documented, and they must receive compensation and psychological support.
Their voices must guide the process. Second, if you release a fighter, you must have a clear, public and verifiable plan to change him. He must go through a long, monitored de-radicalization and job training program. He must publicly renounce violence. The community must see this transformation. Third, the communities that will receive these men back must be part of the discussion. Do they accept it? Do they feel safe? Their safety cannot be an afterthought. Fourth, this cannot be something one governor decides alone. Nigeria needs a national policy, debated and passed into law, that outlines when and how such releases can happen, with strict checks and balances.
This conversation is critical for our nation's future. If you want to stay informed and be part of a community that holds power accountable, please take a second to subscribe. Hit that bell icon so you never miss our analysis. I leave you with this final thought and question. A government's number one job is to protect its citizens. When it chooses to protect its citizens from justice instead of protecting them with justice, it has failed in its most basic duty. So, looking at this Katsina decision, do you feel more protected as a citizen or more vulnerable? Does this bring us closer to peace or closer to chaos? Let me know your final, honest take in the comments.